Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Ian.
I'm Lauren.
And this is the weekend workout where we invite you to play with your strength and have coffee and enjoy your nice, lovely Saturday morning, Sunday morning, or maybe a workout suitable for every day or any day of the week. We'll start with our warm-up. We'll play with those skills. Lauren is the Zoom master, and I'll be in charge of that nice wrist warm-up. And let's do it from the floor right away, which means let's get the feet going first. Go to the ball of the foot, squeeze your butt cheek on the standing leg, and as allowed, point on the elevated toes now. Gently flex over, and then go through the toes, and now push through the toes forward, that we activate those glute muscles to straighten the knees. Repeat on the other side, so it's a pull effort up, finding the middle, toe tip next, gently rolling over the toes if available, and then back to the balls of feet, and think pushing that foot forward to use your butt cheeks to squeeze. Feet rolls over. We'll do the same thing with the hands shortly, but let's get those knees bending first. And in this position, keeping your upper body quiet, could you hike a couple hips there? Oh yeah. Little hike right, little hike left, but ultimately finding that middle place. And then using those glutes, let's push on through. Let's do the same thing. To make more room for the knees here, I envision pulling my feet behind me, but then I'll find my demi points or those lunge style feet down low. Hold for a quick balance, then reset the heels to the floor and push the hips through. Repeating once more, and we'll just get to the floor on this one. So pull the feet back to make room for the ankles. The heels can lift next, and with control, get to the floor. The knees, the hips, and then we'll land on the floor now with our fingertips, then the callus line, and then the full hand. Finger, callus, full hand. Screw it in so those blood donations face forward. And at the head neck first, get into a gentle extension. That's looking forward. Then reach the crown of the head away from the spine and tuck the chin, and small shapes here are wonderful. Avoid overreaching through the neck. Repeating once more, that's the extension looking forward, and then flexion looking generally between the hands. And from here, let's do our first knuckle push-up. That's keeping the elbows straight, the palms leave the floor, and control back down. Improving that wrist strength, forearm strength, and enhancing that connection of the calluses and the fingers to the floor will help us in crawls and planks and push-ups and down dogs and anything we do on those hands. And then we'll push away and shake it out. Let's do a quarter turn with those hands, fingers, calluses, hands. And before we move the hands too much, let's do the side bend of the head. So ear to shoulder, repeat through the middle, and then alternate to the other side. In this moment, the nose is staying fixed. The neck moves very little while the head moves just a little bit. And press through the fingers that were nice and heavy on the hands. Then reset the head to the middle, and I'll push to my right to send my energy to my left. Then I'll push left and transfer the weight back to the right. Repeat a couple more. And this premise, again, is really helpful in such a thing as a handstand, where if you're going one way, use your forces the other way to correct yourself to the middle, and then push through, push the hips through. While we're here, let's just squeeze those glutes and bring that rib cage down, hollowing out a little bit. And Lauren, I'm sure, will have more of those core exercises in a second. But one more time on those hands, let's go fingertips to the knees, fingers, calluses, and hands. And first, we'll do a rotation at the neck now. So looking over a shoulder, breathing into that, looking through the hands, repeating to the other side. Fingertips are heavy, callus line's heavy, elbows straight as allowed. And one more rotation at the neck there, checking in all the time, and then return the head, eyes looking at the ground. Now bend the elbows, slowly flick those wrists, and sit back on the heels if that's a comfortable position for you. And with that, I'll shake it out and toss it over to Lauren.
Excellent. Let's warm up those legs a little bit via our lunges. So from that tall kneel, we'll extend the hips, we'll bring the leg through, and we'll end up in our first lunge position. In this position, we have our front foot flat on the floor with that slightly vertical shin, and the back toe lightly tucked and back hip extended or squeezed. We're keeping our shoulders over top of our hips here, and just as we did earlier, let's hike a hip and then pull it down. With that hip pulled down and that front leg pulled in, back hip remaining extended, we'll gently pull on our front leg to bring ourselves forward, knee towards over toe. And then we'll send ourselves back, trying to keep that hip right underneath our shoulder. Let's do that again. Pull, drifting knee towards over toe, and then press, sending yourself back, but keeping that hip extended. Let's repeat out to the side. So heel toe that foot out to the side. Again, hike a hip and then pull it down. From there, pushing down that side leg, pulling it in, sending that back hip forward. We'll drift knee towards over toe. Once we get out there, we'll push in that opposite direction to send ourselves back up to tall. One more time. Knee pulls over toe, hip remains extended, and then press yourself all the way back to tall. Heel toe that leg to the front. Let's get some tension here. By pushing forward and pushing back in the floor, creating enough tension, you might hover that back knee. Then continue pushing and find halfway. And then continue pushing and find that split stance. And then pull yourself back down to the floor, trying to keep nice level. Relax, switch legs, second side. Other knee comes to the front. Again, that vertical shin, back hips extended. We'll hike a hip up and then pull a hip down. And then from there, we'll up.
And find some balance.
We'll extend that back hip and push down on that front leg as we gently drift our knee towards over toe. And with that knee towards over toe, then push forward to go back, extending that back hip. One more time, use that pull and then that push to send ourselves back to tall. Then heel toe that leg open to the side, only as far as you can go, where you keep square to the front of the room with the hips and the shoulders. With that knee tracking the index toe again, we'll pull driving knee towards over toe and then press but extended hip on the way back. One more time, pulling ourselves over and then pressing ourselves back up to tall. Heel toe that leg to the front and let's create that tension again. So we're pushing forward and back, creating tension to hover off the floor. And then continue pushing to find mid and all the way to tall. And then we'll pull ourselves back down, having a nice soft landing on the floor. Take those knees back under you. And let's warm up our core and our wrists with a light plank, lifting up to that down dog or high bear, whatever you'd like to call it. So with those hands on the floor underneath your shoulders, the toes tucked, and you're up in that plank position. Your butt cheeks are squeezed, your abs are braced, and you're pulling that floor together underneath you. Just in that, as we did in that lunge, we're creating tension through all of our muscles. So grip, fire them up. Then tip the tailbone, lifting the hips. Let's keep the knees bent here and prioritize that anterior or tailbone tip to the ceiling. As you do that and keep that, maybe you keep the knees bent, but you gently try to press the heels to the floor. Your hamstrings are probably saying hello. Then pull yourself back to that plank position. Hold, breathe. Pull the floor together underneath you. Right hand to right hip, left hand to left hip, breathing underneath. Lift the hips back up. This time again though, tailbone to ceiling, anterior tip. Maybe the knees straighten a little bit more. Breathing. One more time into that plank position. When we pull this tension, think about pulling your right hand to your left hip and your left hand to your right hip and pulling that cross body for 3, 2. We're going to lift our hips. We're going to add some steps here and then we'll come to standing. Opposite hand and foot will lift and take a step forward. Lift and take a step forward. Try to engage them both at the same time. Breathing. Let's do one more step in the forward direction. And then let's go backwards for about 4 to 6 steps here. We're pushing the floor away so we have those slightly elevated shoulders. Last one or so. Line yourself up. Bend your knees to get back into that hinge position. Long spine. And press through to Tolly Tall. Oh, shake that out.
Tolly tall, and we're back standing. And typically, you work on that movement clock. So let's just do more typical things and keep learning about the space and the balances required to stay strong. Let's pull up. This ankle position will be a position we explore a couple different variations today. So test your balance. Then we'll point and we'll land toe ball heel and we'll pull ourselves through and then push forward and return the legs together. Repeating in my counterclockwise direction or clockwise for Lauren, depending which leg you choose. And we'll go to the corner and then push together. And the same thing, opening to 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, straight legs land, and we blend that knee bend as we pull and push, just like in Lauren's lunge warm up, then knee front, knee side, then turn and face that back corner, toe ball heel on the landing, push, assemble, and then drag the floor on the toes on the floor out the back and scissoring, also like Lauren's lunge cues there a second ago, and now push forward and back, to arrive at the top. Same thing other side. Have a quick moment to check that balance perhaps, and then point and land toe ball heel and pull the front leg back and push forward to return. Then knee front, knee diagonal, point, stiff leg, blend to that knee bend, and then push. And the same thing then to that 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock side, toe ball heel, push, assemble together, then knee front, knee side, and turn the body, land with control, pushing away, and then a light drag out the back, toe ball heel lands, feel that scissor tension, push it away, return to tall. Let's get back to the floor and just do a little bit of a roll, and then we're back to a crawl circuit with Lauren. We'll go knees over toes. We'll lift the heels. We'll come down with control. Very quietly get the knees to touch and squeeze the butt. Now just open up those hands a little bit wider and take a single hand and turn it up at the hip. Sniff an armpit with your direction of the head and neck. And just enjoy a nice rotation there. And press through, hands return out front. Check in, same thing. Turn a palm up at the hip. Look through the window you create at your shoulder, armpit, hand. And then just one more each side here. And we do want to tighten things up in our planks, but also enjoy some of that supple ability to roll and turn.
Really try to tuck that chin so you're getting on that back shoulder versus resting here on the back of your head.
Ooh, nice. So we'll stick more rolls in there maybe next semester. But for now, Lauren, what are we going to do?
You're going to back up so we can bear around this room. I'd like to get to that bear hover position and explore from there. So right now our hands are underneath our shoulders, our toes are tucked, and our knees are under our hips. Now let's just create some tension and lift those knees off the floor. Your knees are going to stay that same distance off the floor as we take an opposite hand and foot off the floor, stepping forward and placing down. I want you to try to pause for 1 Mississippi in that transfer as you go forward. That should feel like a lot of work in your core. You're trying not to tip that fancy bowl of water off your back. 1 more step in the forward direction, and then let's take it backwards. It's the same idea, opposite hand and foot. Try to keep the knees the same level away from the floor. Keep that core brace and all that 360 degrees around the core. Last one, and then place your knees down and shake it out for a second. Whew. That was our forward backwards bear. Now our bear needs to traverse sideways as well. So we'll come back down to the floor. It's the same pattern, opposite hand and foot, take a step in the lateral direction, and then lift and pause and place down. We're still trying to take that pause in the opposite hand and foot as we place them down. And again, bracing that core from the inside out. Let's go back to where we came from. Slower is harder, which means you should do it slower. Take your time. Breathe. Try not to tip from side to side. Last step. Lift your hips up. Walk your feet back to your hands. Extended in that hinge position. And press to tall. Whew.
Awesome. Good old bear hover crawls. Kind of get the core going, we hope. Kind of get the sweat taps going. And it's a little bit of aerobic work as well. So if you're a little short of breath, that means you're working well. Don't worry. It means we're all in shape. We'll work on it. So single leg to the front. Knee bend on the other leg. Now push the hips forward, arriving in the middle like a sandwich. Then open that same leg to the diagonal and push your hip through, dragging together. Then out to the side and assemble back. Now stay square forward with the shoulders and hips as the leg reaches back, and then together, and then out the back, and assemble. Again, it's the same thing on the other side. Very light tension on the leg out front, heavy tension on the standing leg. The leg that moves to the side stays so stiff on the knee, and the one that stays stationary does that nice gentle bend. We have 2 more directions. It's that back corner first now, and then lastly, just straight behind and push through. Work on the balance, work on the core strength, more squats from me in a moment. Until then.
Oh, we're back to that zoo.
Whew, on the zoo.
All right. Let's open up those hips a little bit in our lizard so then next time we can get to our monkey cat.
Yeah.
I know you're excited for that, so stay tuned. Let's use our hinge again to get to the floor. We'll walk ourselves out into that high plank because this is where the lizard starts. Right here, hips are high. We'll take a foot, flicking the floor away, lift it up, and try to place it on, next to that hand. If you're finding this quite challenging, you could stack a book or a block up to raise the floor. Next, let's just think about reaching that knee away from us and reaching the heel away from center. Then pull that tension back in, lifting that front foot and placing it back where you got it, repeating on the other side. We're trying to bring that foot up with control, trying to lift it into its position versus wiggle it there. Lift and switch. Again, back to that first foot. This time, we'll drop the back knee down. We'll squeeze the back butt cheek, and we'll gently try to bend the knee, getting the heel towards the butt. We're trying to keep those hips extended and core braced. We'll place the foot down, tucking the toe, lifting the knee, lifting that front leg back to where we got it, and repeating on the other side. Foot comes up, back knee comes down. Squeeze the cheek, try to bend that knee, reaching out the front knee still, back foot touches down, reach long. Let's keep this foot here. Step the other foot up to that low squat position, which is where our monkey cat will get us to next time. Lifting our chest, keeping those hips low-ish, but your feet flat on the floor. Knees are pushing out to the side. Now let's come up a couple centimeters and hold, and pushing the floor away, and then up a couple more centimeters and hold, and then we'll press through all the way to tall. Oh, shake that out.
Phase by phase, we'll get there. Add that time under tension to acclimate to those slightly stressful places. Let's go back to that squat idea and have a nice little continued hip opener here in a weight transfer squat. So start with your feet, ankles touching in that V shape or first position, and then just reach a straight leg out to the side, land toe ball heel. Let's pull ourselves right back down in that similar position where Lauren was a second ago. And then when we stand up this time, let's try to find a single base of support. Check it out. There we go. You're there. Then open, point, land, toe ball heel, and then find the same base of support on the other side. And point, and land, and repeat, and then just climb a little bit to the knee. But are the hips hiking here? No, we want them nice and level. Then point and land in that squat and find the ankle again, and then climb to the knee if that's available. Point. This time, let's find the knee right away and squeeze and reach and down. And one last time on this side, find that knee, then a nice straightening. Let's hang out one last time in the squat, heavy through the feet and reach those knees towards the back wall and push those hips through, push one way to go the other, and just enjoy a nice little shake out there. And now it's time for that weird sounding monkey cat.
That's right. We're actually going to do 2 versions of monkey cat today. It's going to be a fun time. Let's do the one we know, which is we stand in that squat position, we pull ourselves back down. Next, we'll go a hand, a foot, and we'll end up facing the same way. So it'll be your back hand is going to reach far, then your front hand, and then foot. Back hand reaches far, front hand, foot. Each time landing softly and getting a little bit of air time. Let's go back to where we came from. Maybe sending those hips a bit higher in the air, breathing, but always landing softly on the floor. Take your time. Press yourself up to tall once you're done, and take a second. Version number 2, I'm going to show you. That one, we landed facing the same way. We might also in this one, but it's going to be a bit different. You'll pull yourself down. This time, my back will spin towards you in a sense. So from here, it's going to be more like a cartwheel. I'm now going to take my front hand, and it's going to land. My back hand is going to reach over, and I'm going to go hand, foot, but a spin to come back to you. So it's a cartwheel from a squat position. Let's try it. Doesn't have to be big. Hand, foot, come back to you. Let's try it one more time each way here. Hand.
You good?
I don't want to get pegged by your feet.
You won't.
Foot.
We got control.
And then one more time back to where you came from. Yeah, see, don't like that. And then press to jaw. Good.
There we go.
Take a second off. Practice that little new squat cartwheel. Let us know how it goes.
Love it. Love it. Continuing some of those weight transfers here, working on that squat as well. So let's pull ourselves to that first position or heels touch. Let's do a knee bend. Then reach a leg to the side, land toe ball heel, and just pull yourself over. Then from here, let's take that leg out the side and return it to the front. Stand tall on a standing leg, and then return back underneath. Repeating to the other side. Knee bend, reach to the side, push one way to go the other. Then that leg out that's lateral here, very light on the toe, and reach it to the front. Stand tall, and then pull back together. Repeat once more each side. Knees over toes, reach the leg side. Feel us pull energy, complement it with the push. And then even this time, might it hover? Maybe we use that bar a little bit and bring it to the front. Stand tall in the standing leg and close. And the last repetition here, knees over toes. Reach to the side, toe ball heel. It's a pull, it's a push. Perhaps just a little bit of air underneath that foot. Return it to the front. Stand nice and tall and pull back to that first position. Shake it out.
Oh.
A lot of the same stuff, but slight tweaks here and there. This is week 6 of 6. Can't wait to do it next time, week 1. But until then, we have way more fun to go, Lauren.
That's right. So next semester, we're going to be progressing our handstand skills and focusing on those skills a little bit more. So just to dabble into what we'll be working on next semester, we're going to come here into some handstand kick-ups. We have 2 versions. We'll try a couple. Remembering you only need to do some baby air, which is just getting off the floor. If you're not interested in this, go back and revisit one of the crawls we did in earlier today's practice. Our first kick up today will be that tripod entry. So we'll place our hands on the floor here and we'll have a stagger stance, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Before you go anywhere, shift your weight so your shoulders are stacked over top of your wrists with nice straight elbows. Next, we're gonna do a little kick and switch the feet. When we kick and switch the feet here, you're getting a little bit of air. I like that foot switch right away because it trains us to take off either foot. You're going to have a preference, but work through both. Right now, you're just getting a little bit off the floor, feeling a millisecond of air time. If you feel comfortable with that, you could get into the little bit more air time as you go here.
We do like to work in this I go, you go way. Allows us some time to rest and time to check in with your partner's form. Not that they need corrections, but it's just nice to see what they might be doing to help your own practice. So Lauren, again, is somewhat scissoring those legs.
Somewhat, yeah.
Scissoring those legs. I know. It's okay.
Same thing
Wasn't
again.
meant to chirp ya.
Same thing again. Let's try to get just a little bit more air on this one, and then we'll practice that step in. So again, spread out those hands nice and wide. Keep the elbows straight. Pull the shoulders over top, and then think about getting a little bit higher. If you leave one leg behind you, you'll always go back to where you came from. So if you're worried about kicking too hard and kicking all the way over, leave that leg out the back, and that'll always guide you back to the floor. Last one or so here.
It's been a couple of weeks since you've tried those, so it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But Lauren's working on climbing that ladder, taking the time, and trying to think about those straight knees, those pointed toes, straight elbows, heavy tension hands. Pick on one of those things at a time and reinforce the patterns over your career in handstand. Let's take a couple seconds off those hands. Lauren's variation number 2 comes up in a second. But until then, let's go back to the squat. And from that, it's that first position or plie shape. We'll pull ourselves to the low place. Then reach your leg front and lift it up. And hold. And lift it higher. And hold. And then stand up tall on the standing leg. Tap it down with control. And then pull back to the first position. Repeating on the other side. It's our squat. It's a brush of the foot forward. And then continue the brush. Lifting from those hip flexors and supporting from your glute. And lift it higher. And it does get higher when you stand on that standing leg. Then tap and return. Just once to the side now, each time. Knees over toes. Reach towards that side and lift and hold. And find your balance. Lift it higher with your brain, and then stretch that leg, tap it down with control, return, and one last time here to the other side. There will be a little weight shift, so stack up over top of that heel of the standing leg. Try to be heavy on the toes, lift and point and straighten and stand and tap and pull back. Great. We like integrating some balances with the low body, full body balances there to take some time off hands because we know it's intense. Make sure your wrists are okay. I can't wait for Lauren to share this next one with you.
So that second version of our kick up, or our kick up to our handstand, is the step in version. So we start with the arms extended overhead, 1 foot forward, 1 foot behind us. You can already see Ian in that hollow shape, so the ribs to hips. Next, we'll think about getting up and over something, landing softly on the hands, and either the kick switch here to take off the alternate legs, or alternate as you step back into your standing position. Think also about pushing the floor away to get yourself back up to tall, getting your shoulders back stacked up on top of your hips. Again, just get used to leaving the floor, spending a little millisecond in the air, and then slowly progress to those bigger kicks. Leaving that leg behind you will prevent you from going head over shoulders there, or shoulders overhead. So if you're nervous about that, always leave that leg trailing behind you.
That's right. Or do it in that baby air context here, taking your time. So that was a nice low rep for Lauren, getting her stance right and making sure that spacing of going up and over to that object can help her pull to the ceiling. A couple more, and again on the down, you can see her hands land, fingers, calluses, hands, and on the up, she's using that energy to flick away and gorgeous straight legs and pointed toes. I think I did 6 there. Lauren's doing about that same number, so keep your number fresh, give yourself some rest, and we'll do it maybe one last time. But until then...
Do you want to do it now? Yeah. And then we did it I go, you go last time, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
One more.
And then we'll do something, we'll do something fun after on our hands.
So same kick-ups.
So same kick-ups one more time, just as we did those tripod entries
Choose
twice.
your own kick-up? Choose your own kick-up?
No, do this one more time. We did it twice, we should do this twice too. Give it a fair chance. Open those hands up nice and wide. Again, it's soft on the hands. And then let's remember that up and over approach. If you approach the ground at that 45 degrees, it's really hard. Probably impossible, physics-wise, to get those hips on top of your shoulders. So that up and over.
Lauren set up in the hollow. Again, in a lot of our kettlebell exercises, we want to keep those shoulders down. The handstand breaks that rule, or moves from that rule at least, and we do want those shoulders shrugging. So we push into the floor with elevated shoulders for tension and strength. That is a ballet and kettlebell rule that breaks when it comes time to handstand. This is our last time here in that squat. Let's do the same efforts as before, but just move the leg in the air. We're going knees over toes. We'll reach forward and off the ground. Then stay tall. Reach the leg to the side. Tap it down, then reach the leg up, return it to the front, also tap it down, and then press the hip back through. Switching sides, same thing. Knees over toes, reach front and lift. Now keep that knee that's bent reaching to the back wall behind you, keep those hips forward, then tap down, and then lift, and return it to the front, and tap it down, and extend the hip through. One last time each side. Knees over toes, but this time let's reach out to the side first, and then up, and then out to the front. We'll tap down for a little break, collect your breath, and then lift it up again in the front. Maintain that height as allowed as it reaches to the side, and then tap and close the heels back. Final repetition on the other side for me here. Knees over toes, reach to the side. From the hip flexors, lift from the bum, help support, and then reach it to the front and tap down for a little break. Catch your breath, engage your abs, lift it, reach it, stay square. I feel myself leaning, so I'm finding my center. Oh shoot. And then tap and pull together. Whew. A little bit of work here this morning.
So to finish, we have 1 minute where I want you to spend a whole minute on your hands, wrists. If a whole minute's too many, then obviously you can do less than that. But what we're trying to do here is just gain some strength and endurance in those wrists. We have already spent a lot of time there, so be careful. What you could do a bear, you could do a lizard, You could do an elephant walk, or we could spend a couple minutes working, or 1 minute, on those kick-ups that we just practiced, or even trying to hold that handstand and find a balance. So 1 minute's on the clock, choose a move, work those wrists a little bit, but always end safely. We'll go in 5 seconds, pick whatever you'd like to do, in 3, 2, and then take your time, up to a minute here, breathing as you go. We have about 20 seconds left.
Oh, awesome.
I started at the 7.
Awesome. Great finish there, Lauren.
What are we at?
Great finish there, team. You have 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds. That's a full minute. That was awesome.
Oh.
That was awesome. I definitely felt my shape change. I felt my shape get a little bit of the banana, but then I fought for the hollow. I felt my arms bend, and then I fought for them to stay straight. That was a fun exercise, and I can't wait for the next section of 6 weeks, where we'll continue to expand on the crawls and progress through the handstands.
Those hand balances. And we don't just start with those hands, and that doesn't just happen to working up to a minute, but we'll show you the progressions that we've done over the years to improve our handstands. That includes practicing our crows, climbing walls, doing some kick-up activities. So stay tuned. We have 1 week off where we take some time to recover, and then we'll be back the following weekend to start a new 6-week semester.
Awesome.
That goes for all of our live classes, so stay tuned. 1 week off, and we'll be back. So in that time, you can go back in the YouTube and subscribe, and watch some other videos. Or you could go to our website, sign up for a newsletter, or check out our Patreon page. But until then,
We would like you to take care,
stay strong.
and we want to train soon. So we'll see you in 1 week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.